G-Man Boxing. Do you know what I mean? Every single live he donates. I see him on other lives donating. He's got the bag on it.
Alright people, review of the week time. So this one's probably going to go long because I didn't get a chance to do midweek report because the broadband where I was staying in the UK was shocking. Like, it was shocking. So I'm going to be chucking everything into this one video. I'm going to start it from early last week and just go on to today. However, I'm going to start review of the week with the fight that happened last night. Ramon Chocolatito Gonzalez beating Julio Cesar Martinez. It was... We need to appreciate Chocolatito Gonzalez for the fighter he is. He is one of the... He is probably... he's an all-time great. There's just no two ways about it. When he got knocked out by Rigondeaux, it'll be 5 years. It'll be 5 years this September. That was a sad sight because I thought that was the end of him. And I got into Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. I knew about him in around about 2012, but it was really kind of 2013, 2014 when he was on everyone's pound for pound and undefeated. That's when I really started watching him. There's a great video actually. I think it still might be on YouTube. It was released in 2014, I think it was, or maybe 2015. I think it was actually 2014. And it was called, I think it was The Art of Movement. And it's about Chocolatito Gonzalez. And it's fantastic watch actually. It's a great video. But throughout then I've seen him, and I thought at that stage he was done. And the way he's been able to come back, because there was a lot of questions about Chocolatito Gonzalez, even when he came back. I think he came back on the Canelo Triple G2 card. And people were really questioning, what's he got left? He showed he still had a lot left in the tank. And he definitely showed it in the Estrada fight last year, and he showed it again here. I thought this fight would be a bit more competitive than it was going into it. Now, I was picking Chocolatito Gonzalez to win the fight, but I really did think it'd be a bit more competitive than it was. There was one judge who scored this fight 116, 112. And I just seen first thing in the morning, because I didn't watch it until midday, that judge was the people were saying that's a shocking scorecard. And it was. It was. This was destruction. We'll say this was destruction from Chocolatito. It really was. The punches he was landing. I mean, Martinez has a great chin. Because even at 115, he's not the puncher he was at 108 or 112. But he still has been, he's still got some highlight reel knockouts at 115 pounds. Ask Cal Yafai. He got a highlight reel knockout. He was on the receiving end of the highlight reel knockout with Chocolatito there about 2 years ago. So Chocolatito can still bang a bit at that weight. And Martinez took all them shots, but he was never in the fight. He came in overweight. I think originally he came in at 117 and he was given an hour to make the weight, but he didn't. He was still a pound overweight. I reckon a lot of that had to do with the fact that he took the fight on short notice. He would have probably still been in the gym, but being in the gym and having the weight cut are different. He probably didn't get a chance to cut the weight in the adequate time that he wanted to. Maybe Eddie Reynoso felt that they could cut the weight, but not safely. So maybe it was better to just take a chance or something like that. I don't know. They're the ones who know, not me. But Chocolatito put on a masterclass. Just the way he was able to, the punch stats at the end for power shots landed. I mean, Martinez is someone who's quite accurate with power shots. He throws some good power shots. He couldn't land on Chocolatito. I mean, the punch stats at the end were absolutely, there was a chasm. It's like the Grand Canyon. It was a massive chasm between the two in terms of the power punches landed. Chocolatito was just lighting this guy up like a Christmas tree. And Chocolatito is a phenomenal pressure fighter, and he is very good at blocking them shots with the gloves. And that's what he was able to do. Slip and block, but mainly parry a lot of Martinez shots with the gloves. It was really bad in the last couple of rounds. Like rounds kind of 10 to 12. Chocolatito, all I can say is he put a beating on Martinez in them rounds. Very, 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 very impressed I was with Ramon Chocolatito Gonzalez. I thought it was just an absolutely fantastic performance. And it's good to see that he hasn't... Because as I said at the start of this video, that Rigondeaux fight a few years ago, I thought at that stage he was done. I thought that knockout, there's no coming back from that. It could have just been that maybe he met a bogey style. Maybe Rigondeaux will always give Chocolatito problems. but he could go in there against someone else, and like Estrada, who beat him. Although I felt Chocolatito was unlucky not to get the nod in that fight personally, but maybe that just is his boogeyman. It happens with fighters. Hasim Rahman springs to mind. It was Muskayev. Muskayev and Rahman were probably fairly. Rahman was better than he was better than Muskayev, but he could never beat Muskayev, if you know what I mean. He'd always get knocked. I think he was knocked out of the ring both times by Muskayev. So it could be something like that, where it's just you meet someone who just has your number. Could have been like that with Ramon Chocolatito Gonzalez. Eddie Hearn has revealed that he's planning to stage Joshua Franco versus Juan Estrada next. Now, I would have preferred to see just go in and have the Chocolatito trilogy fight, but nevertheless, he also says he wants Jesse Bam Rodriguez versus Rinvasai on the same show. Both winners would potentially be opponents for Chocolatito. Well, I'd like to see the Estrada trilogy fight personally, but Jesse Bam Rodriguez, I was massively impressed with him. And he's coming up in weight as well. So I was massively impressed with him. Let's go back to the start of the week. Where are we at? Okay, so Wasserman have announced they've signed an exclusive multi-event deal with Channel 5. They will air only five TV shows in 2022. Now, first thing I was hearing from that was people were saying Eubank Jr. is the only fighter they've known to fight his way onto pay-per-view and fight his way back on to Channel 5. As far as I'm aware, you could correct me if I'm wrong about this, but he is contractually obligated to Sky, as well as being a Wasserman fighter, a Sterling fighter, for want of a better word. Likewise, Filip Hrgovic, he has a deal in place with DAZN. So as far as I'm aware, that he's not part of the deal in that regard. Like, maybe if his career hits the skids, they might put him on Channel 5. But for the time being, he's a Sky fighter. Josh Kelly, Nathan Gorman, they'll likely be on Channel 5. Kelly, I think Josh Kelly's career is going one way, and it's not going up. I'll put it like that. Gorman, again, Nathan Gorman is one of them heavyweights who is alright, but he's just so ill disciplined. The guy's never the body beautiful type, but my days, he seems to be one of these. He just seems to be lazy, sheer laziness. I remember when he fought. It was after he fought Dubois. I think he fought Latte, and he was on about how he was in an amateur club now doing all his training. And they asked him, "Do you prefer it?" And he was like, "I just don't have to drive as far." I'm like, mate, come on. Just come on, like, that's just sheer laziness. That's just sheer laziness. No wonder you're coming in the ring 270 sometimes. And believe me, I'm someone who doesn't. I don't particularly like it when pros train in amateur gyms. I think you need to get set in a pro gym. I remember that was one thing George Grove said about Paddy Fitzpatrick. He didn't like that it was an amateur gym that Paddy Fitzpatrick was in, and he was used to being in the Adam Booth team. But we'll move on from that. Triple G and Murata schedule fight April 9th in Satamiya, probably saying that name wrong, in Japan. Triple G will have one eye on Canelo. Now, Murata's not fought since 2019, as far as I believe. Well, he definitely didn't fight. I think 2019, I think it was. So Murata won't be at his optimum, I wouldn't imagine. But Triple G, that's in around about when he's 40, because he's 40 in April. I'm not sure if it's the start of April or the end of it, but for all intents and purposes, he'd be 40 years old, for all intents and purposes. So that Triple G of 2018 stops Murata. Triple G of now, touch and go. He'll have one eye on the Canelo fight. That's the fight he wants. That's the fight DAZN want, truth be told. But yeah, I think Triple G should get past Murata, but I do think that Canelo will probably stop him, and that's going to be a sad sight to see. I love Triple G, I really do. I've watched him for many years. Stayed up for a lot of his fights as well, even before he fought Canelo. Even before he fought Kell Brook, I was staying up for the Dominic Wades. Do you remember them fights? Yeah, they were mismatches, but I grin and bear it. I grin and bear it because I wanted to watch Triple G. Alexander Usyk, this report from CNN News. CNN are just, yeah. Alexander Usyk has indicated that his rematch with Anthony Joshua is in doubt, and AJ's also hinted that potentially well, actually, it was Eddie Hearn. And I think AJ said it as well in an interview that he could have an interim fight in the meantime because Usyk is obviously. I don't know the ins and outs of it because I haven't really gone into this too much. I haven't really looked into it. But is he in the Ukrainian army or is he? I think he is. So obviously, what's going on, over there, which I won't go into too much detail. That's obviously pushing things back, and it's causing some issues with like things happening, in other sports as well. So I wouldn't be shocked if that fight gets pushed back. I was on the subject of Anthony Joshua actually, and Alexander Usyk. I done a video on it, I already touched on it, but AJ and Angel Fernandez, because I may as well just no point going back to it when I can talk about it here. AJ announced that he will be signing. Well, Angel Fernandez will be promoted to main coach. So for all intents and purposes, Angel Fernandez is Anthony Joshua's new trainer. My thoughts on that are just why. Like, you really haven't done anything. You basically done nothing. You've literally done absolutely zilch in terms of changing your setup and having a fresh new style, new coach, new everything. Angel Fernandez been in the AJ team for be 4 years, probably come to summer. So they kind of know each other very well, I would imagine, at this stage. Angel Fernandez, maybe AJ's thinking he can make him into a better boxer. Because, as I said, originally when he was going into this, top of the Usyk rematch, he was on about putting it on him and, showing you, I'm going street tug, I'm going to put it on Alexander Usyk. And then he started talking about, well, I'm just going to win more rounds, i.e. outbox him. So, look, who am I to tell Anthony Joshua what he should and shouldn't do? But I just don't see this. I just don't see this working, to be honest with you. Again, Ali Bashir, Stacey McKinley, Ronnie Shields, all would have been good picks. Even Shane McGuigan, I would prefer over this, to be honest with you. I really would. But look, it is what it is. Oscar De La Hoya on... Oh, yes, and this is interesting. I want to get this, see if I can find a quote for you here, because Canelo Alvarez had some words about Ryan Garcia, and Ryan Garcia leaving Eddie Reynoso's team. Let's have a look, see. Oh, and Ryan Garcia even responded. Let's see. Okay, so here it is here. He said he wants more time with Eddie. He said he wants more time, I should say. Eddie was here Christmas, New Year's, everything, when he fought Campbell. Then what happened? Something with him. I'm not sure. If you're disciplined, Eddie is always going to be there. Now, that is something that I did talk about when Ryan Garcia initially announced he was splitting with Eddie Reynoso. And Ryan Garcia has gone to Goosen, who is known for being quite a good offensive coach. That's not what Ryan Garcia needs. Ryan Garcia is good offensively as well. So you could turn around and say, well, gee, that might not be a bad idea because, he could maybe improve Ryan Garcia offensively. And yeah, that's true, he could. But Ryan Garcia's biggest issue is his defense. And an offensive coaches, normally, their fighters don't tend to have particularly good defense. Like, for example, Abel Sanchez is very much an offensive coach, and he's very good at getting his fighters punching harder, if you notice as well. But do his fighters have particularly good defense? No. So Ryan Garcia, Canelo, don't know the facts. The first camp I had with Eddie went great. Then everything went bad. He only showed up 2 weeks before fussing the fight, and that's when I asked my manager to talk to him about finding a new trainer. Virgil Ortiz left because Eddie showed. So that's what Ryan Garcia is claiming. Interesting. So one claiming the other. So Canelo is... Now, here's the thing what I might think of, and maybe this could be completely thinking outside the box. Maybe it's got nothing. Maybe Eddie Reynoso saw that Ryan Garcia's heart's not fully in the game. Because Ryan Garcia does like to be, the celebrity, the Instagram guy. And maybe he just thought, you know what? Am I going to waste my time coming in for someone who's not in it? Because Eddie Reynoso, I get the impression, he wants... Look at the... Canelo Alvarez is a perfect example. Canelo Alvarez is someone who has made it in boxing. In every aspect of the word, he's made it. He has more money than most fighters combined would see in a lifetime. He could get that in 2 fights. 1 fight even in some cases. And he still has the hunger. he still leaves no stone unturned in training. He still wants to challenge himself. You have Ryan Garcia, who was coming out like in 2020 saying, "Oh, 200 grand's not enough for me to fight. I don't want to fight. Yeah, give it to someone else." I'm sure Eddie Reynoso, I know it's got Eddie Guerrero there, Jesus. I'm sure Eddie Reynoso would look at that and think, do you really want it? Do you really want it? So I reckon that there's more there than meets the eye with the whole Garcia Reynoso split. I reckon it's more than just that. I reckon Eddie Reynoso maybe thought, you know what, this kid's not, his heart's not in it, and what's the point of me wasting my time for someone whose heart's not in it? I reckon Andy Ruiz is going to go down that road as well with regards to Eddie Reynoso splitting, because I don't think Andy Ruiz's heart's still in the game now. Moving on, Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte. 85,000 tickets sold within the first 3 hours of Wembley Stadium. Frank Warren has announced Warren has applied to local authorities to increase the capacity to 100,000, which would break a boxing attendance record in the UK. I wonder how many of them tickets, honestly, how many of them tickets were bought by StubHub. I wonder how many of them tickets were bought by StubHub. Seriously. Because Frank Warren has had that happen in the past. I remember a couple of years ago, like 2016, 2015, he was absolutely going in on Eddie Hearn for using StubHub. Going in on him. And here he is using StubHub. That's it, using StubHub. Canelo was asked about the Triple G trilogy fight. Is it still personal to him? And he actually said, yeah, he talks a load of S. He said a lot of things, but we're going to see. So Canelo, obviously, Canelo is business. He knows what that Triple G fight brings. He knows it brings an awful lot of money, and he knows that Triple G is not the fighter he fought in 2017 and 2018. The WBO have ruled that Charlo versus Castano 2 can proceed for the undisputed super welterweight title as a 4-belt unification, because there was talk, I think Tim Tszyu is mandatory. Is it Tim Tszyu? I think it is Tim Tszyu. Is mandatory for Castano, but the WBO are letting that go ahead. Thankfully, we'll get undisputed. May 14th is the date. I still think Castano's going to win that fight. I think Castano is going to win that fight. I do. I really do. Bit of news about Guillermo Rigondeaux. He actually took a loss there last week or a fortnight ago in a 10-round split decision. I think his career is well and truly done. I mean, he's 41, 42 in Cuban years, so he's about 56. But apparently a pressure cooker exploded in his face. Jesus Christ, good Lord. And he currently has only 20% vision as a result. But hopefully will make a full recovery. Hopefully, Jesus, I didn't realise it was that bad. I knew something like that happened, but I didn't realise it was that bad. Well, thoughts and prayers go out to Guillermo Rigondeaux. I hope he's okay. And hopefully, it sounds like it's not the best right now, but hopefully he can make a full recovery and that there's no lasting damage. I think his boxing career is well and truly gone anyway, so fingers crossed that there's no further issues with that. Gervonta Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero is reportedly now finalised for June the 4th. That was obviously meant to happen in December. Obviously there was allegations made against Rolly and they pushed the fight back. He ended up fighting Isaac Cruz, which in theory is a harder fight. I'm telling you now, this is going to be a fun build-up, but Tank Davis is going to absolutely batter Rolly. He's going to batter him left, right and centre. Rolly is not as good as he thinks he is. He's got a big mouth, but that's about it. Demetrius Andre now has signed his end of the contract for the Zach Parker fight, so Demetrius Andre going to Derby. Now here's the thing, and I need to really, I didn't take this into consideration, and I should have. Demetrius Andre versus Zach Parker. If this is in the States, Demetrius Andre beats the living crap out of Zach Parker. If it's in Derby, Demetrius Andre is not the best traveller. Fast forward back to the Jack Kulkai fight. Didn't look good in that fight at all. That fight was in Germany, and that fight was meant to happen, I think, 6 months earlier. But Demetrius Andre didn't want it. Well, I think he said, he did admit that he wasn't overly keen on traveling to Germany because that fight was meant to happen in 2016, and then I think it was just a case of tough. You know what? You're going to Germany, and he didn't look good. He could be one of them fighters who doesn't travel very well. So that had me thinking, he should still beat Zach Parker. He is levels above him. But depending on how well Andre travels, we could be in for an interesting fight there. Hearn on Kambosos versus Haney. June the 4th is the potential date. I think that given the fact that Lomachenko is now involved in that Ukraine-Russian situation, I would say that it is almost a given that we're going to get Haney versus Kambosos next. I think that they did say Lomachenko was pretty much at the front of the queue. He pretty much had his end of the contract signed, or words to that effect. He'd had a contract sent, but I think this whole thing over there is going to push all that back. So, yeah, I would say right now, if I was a betting man on who I think's going to get the fight, I'm saying Devin Haney, and I think that pretty much that seems to be a done deal. That fight would obviously take place over in Australia. How does Haney travel? That's the thing, you got to wonder how these guys travel. How would Haney travel going over to hostile territory in Australia? Because that would be a very big event over there. You know, undisputed fight in Australia, Kambosos. Be a big fight. It'd be a very big fight, and it would be such a pro Kambosos crowd. How would Haney react? How would he react to being out of his comfort zone? I would imagine Devin Haney is quite a confident, well, he definitely comes across as a very confident individual, confident young man. I don't think it would faze him too much, but you never know until you're there. I mean, like, some fighters, they might think in their head they'll be okay traveling, and when they do it, it's like, holy mother, this is what I expect, and you do see it takes away from them. So we will wait and see with that. Like, that's a good fight in of itself. The Lomachenko fight stylistically is better, but I'm not going to scoff my nose at Haney versus Kambosos. I will pick Devin Haney to win the fight, but I wouldn't. Kambosos is live. I would go 60-40 in favour of Haney. Maybe 55-45. But Haney, I would make a slight favourite in that fight. And I think, lads and lasses, I think we're done. I think that's pretty much the week's news. I don't think there's not much else to touch on unless I'm missing. Oh, yes, of course, I have it in the thumbnail. How could I forget? Obviously, John Fury, and I just want to talk about it because I just felt it was a bit... I just thought it was a bit strange, right? John Fury confronting Carl Frampton. John Fury is a character, and I do like listening to him sometimes because he is funny. I know he doesn't mean to be funny, but he does come across as a bully. And the reason he squared up to Carl Frampton, which was a bad touch, it has to be said, it was. Frampton is 5'2", if even 5'3", because he is very short. Barely 150 pounds. John Fury is what, 6 foot, God knows what, 6'2", 6'3", 270 pounds, maybe more. It's a bad look, you're John Fury, to be doing that. The only reason he did it is because Frampton picked Jake Paul to beat Tommy Fury, as I would have, and many other people would have. Frampton is one of the best analysts around. I think it's an absolute travesty that Carl Frampton isn't on the zone, and we have to listen to Darren Barker and Chris Lloyd with that absolutely dead banter, and Tony Bellew, who can't, be objective. He can't call a fight like it is. Carl Frampton knows how to break a fight down. He's very good on BT Sport, as is David Haye. David Haye is more there for personality. He's not as good as Carl Frampton, but Carl Frampton and him, I think they have a good little rapport, and they would do good work on the zone. But Frampton knows his boxing. He's actually, not commented, but he's been an analyst at a couple of Tommy Fury's fights. So I think he was analyst at that, wow, it was behind closed doors, it was a while ago, but I remember him being at it anyway, nonetheless. And Frampton obviously saw enough of Tommy Fury to realise that Fury is not, Fury in name, but not he doesn't have the same skill as his cousin, or his brother, Tyson. He's just not even his cousin Huey. So, looking at Frampton, obviously looked at that, assessed what Jake Paul had, and maybe just decided, yeah, I think Jake Paul win. And bear in mind, that's not Frampton saying he hates the Furies or anything like that. So John Fury is taking that so personal, it's almost if like it's disrespectful that you would dare pick against someone you know. And Frampton is like, well, that's my opinion, and he's right. Like, I mean, there are fighters I've known, obviously being around boxing for very many years, you do meet certain fighters and you do get to know them, and there are certain fighters I'd like to see do well. Does that mean I'm going to pick him to win every fight? Of course not. Like, I'm trying to use an example, like I can't even, for the fighters I know, I'm not struggling to think, but look, say I knew a fighter who was, say, 2-0, they'd only fought once this year, once last year, just making this bit up. And then they said, I'm going in to fight in a matchroom card. I'm going to fight Lee Wood. Would I pick him? No. Would I want him to win? Yeah, but I wouldn't pick him. Does that mean I don't like the guy? No, it means that I'm just being realistic. You know, it means that I'm just saying, well, I'd like you to win, I hope you do, but I ain't picking you. You've never shown me anything. And I think that certain fighters are very, very good like that, where they actually understand that it's nothing personal. Lawrence Okoli is a very good example. I remember Hatman telling stories about Okoli actually reaching out to him when Hatman was on Twitter, and Okoli saying, look, if you're going to review my fights, don't go easy on me. Actually let me know when I'm going wrong, and don't be afraid to, you know, criticize me. And that, to me, brought, like, Lawrence Okoli, I already had respect for him, but that, to me, really actually brought him even higher up in my estimates, because that shows someone with a willingness to learn and to take criticism. It's not someone who's a case of, like, I'll give you an example, right? I criticised, and it was an absolutely stupid idea. It was a stupid decision, an ill-thought virtue signal from a certain coach a couple of years ago. And I criticised it quite rightly, and many people, well, actually the overwhelming majority, agreed with it. And I said, it's nothing personal, but it's just a stupid decision what you did. Sure, some people will know what that was. And I was called out, like, they were like, you little fuck, you little, you know what, and this, that, and the other. I'm like, it's nothing personal. It was just a stupid decision what you did. And in the long run, who's turned out to be right? So, as I say, it's nothing personal. You have to take the criticism, whether you're a fighter or whether you're a trainer in some regards. You just got to take it. And someone like Okoli, and nothing with Okoli in this video, but I'm just saying, he's someone who's like, okay, if I go in there and I don't perform, criticize me. Let me know where I'm going wrong. I want to learn. And I think that deserves a lot of respect. And, you know, Frampton, long-winded discussion here about Frampton and Fury, but Frampton just gave his opinion, and John Fury, he is a bully. There's no two ways about it. That's a real bully kind of thing. It's like, what are you saying? It's like, you're a massive guy, a former heavyweight, and you're squaring up to a little featherweight? Really? Come on, man. That's bad form. That's bad form. So that's pretty much it. I don't know how long I went, but I hope you enjoyed it. We're back to basics this week. I've got an interview coming up, actually, that I did, like, on the channel. That's coming up later on this evening, so I'll upload that probably this evening for you guys to watch. And I will try and get a stream in this week, a little Q&A live stream, talk about boxing, you know how we do. We'll see how that goes as well. So I've got a few things planned for the week. I hope you enjoyed the video, lads and lasties. If you could, smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll talk to you. Peace.